In a white two-story home situated in a suburban area of the American South, Daria Henderson was preparing her morning coffee while admiring the roses flourishing in her garden. At 62, she maintained a straight posture and the dignity she had naturally gained from 35 years as an elementary school principal still shone through. 2 years had passed since her retirement, but her well-structured routine had not changed. She kept her habit of waking up at 6 o'clock each morning and methodically getting ready for the day. A family photo of her son Mark, his wife Jessica, and their 4-year-old daughter Emma was displayed on the refrigerator, secured by a magnet. Mark worked as a pilot for an airline. The strong sense of responsibility he inherited from his father, along with the values Daria had passed down to him, made him a reliable pilot. In his uniform, Mark looked handsome, and he was a source of pride for Daria. Jessica worked part-time as a receptionist. Once a lively and cheerful woman, she had recently expressed feeling worn out from raising their child since Emma's birth. Daria had welcomed Jessica into the family and tried to support her as much as she could. With her long blonde hair and slender figure, Jessica embodied the image of a classic Southern belle. Daria understood why Mark had fallen for her at first glance. And Daria's most cherished possession, her granddaughter Emma, was a delightful little girl with brown hair from her father and bright, intelligent eyes from her grandmother. The day Emma was born, Daria had cried tears of joy at becoming a grandmother for the first time. She still recalled the overwhelming emotion when those tiny hands clasped her finger. Emma was curious about everything, always asking questions that sparked Daria's enthusiasm as a former educator. Recently, Jessica had been voicing her feelings of unwellness more frequently, causing Daria to worry. Her daughter-in-law's health was vital, as it directly impacted the happiness of the whole family. Mark's job required him to travel often, leaving home for extended periods, sometimes over a week for both domestic and international flights. During these times, Jessica had to manage caring for Emma by herself, and Daria understood that it must be a heavy load. Daria visited Mark's home 3 times a week to check on Jessica and help with Emma. The moments spent with her granddaughter brought Daria immense joy. Reading storybooks, baking cookies, and planting flowers together added vibrancy to her life after retirement. When Mark was home, their family seemed like the perfect picture from the outside. He was a loving father to Emma and treated Jessica with kindness. Their Sunday outings to the park or meals at restaurants symbolized the happy home Mark had created. However, Daria sometimes noticed things that troubled her. Jessica's demeanor when interacting with Emma seemed less warm than before. She reassured herself that it was probably just fatigue, but her maternal instincts sensed something was amiss. Especially when Mark was away, Jessica appeared somewhat distracted. Still, Daria had faith in their family bond. Young couples could face tough times, and she believed that once Jessica's health improved, they would return to being the joyful family they once were. Daria herself had navigated various challenges in her marriage with her late husband, and it was this experience that allowed her to support her son's family with compassion. After finishing her coffee, Daria resolved to care for Jessica's well-being while cherishing her time with Emma that day. On a warm March afternoon, Daria was playing with blocks alongside Emma in Jessica's living room. As she watched Emma's tiny hands expertly stack the colorful blocks, Daria beamed at her granddaughter's development. However, she noticed that Jessica's phone conversations from the kitchen had a different tone than usual. "Yes, I'm tired again today," Jessica's voice floated in. "Mark is leaving for another week-long business trip next week. It's really tough being on my own." Daria felt a pang of concern for Jessica's ongoing poor health. Initially, she thought it was merely fatigue, but Jessica had been unwell for nearly 2 months now, even mentioning morning nausea, which left Daria secretly anxious about potential illness. "Grandma, look!" Emma called out excitedly. "I built a castle." "Oh, what a beautiful castle!" Daria replied, smiling. "Where's the princess?" Emma placed a small doll atop the block castle. "But sometimes the princess feels sad." Daria felt a slight ache at Emma's words. For a 4-year-old to express sadness could mean she sensed something in the family dynamic. Jessica came back to the living room after her call, looking thinner than before, with dark circles under her eyes. "Daria, thank you so much for always being here," Jessica said as she slumped into a chair. "When Mark isn't home, your presence really helps." "Don't mention it," Daria replied warmly. I enjoy spending time with Emma, but I'm worried about your health. Have you seen a doctor? Jessica hesitated for a moment. Yes, I went last week. They said it was just exhaustion. There's work-related stress, too. Daria understood that Jessica worked part-time as a receptionist. She didn't think it was overly demanding, but she tried to empathize, realizing that everyone experiences stress differently. I could take care of Emma a bit more, even on weekends, so you can have some time to rest, Daria offered. Jessica's eyes brightened for a moment. Really? That would be a huge help. There's a new project at work, and I want to make time for it. That evening, when Mark returned home, Daria had a chance to speak privately with him. Jessica had claimed to have a headache and went to bed early, while Emma slept on Daria's lap with her favorite stuffed animal. Mark, how's Jessica's health? Daria inquired, concerned. Mark shook his head wearily. Honestly, I'm not sure. When I'm home, she doesn't seem that unwell, but when I come back from trips, she always says she's exhausted. She mentioned seeing a doctor? Yes, but they said there wasn't anything seriously wrong. I think she might be feeling the pressure of taking care of Emma on her own while I'm away. Daria nodded at Mark's words, but deep down, she sensed that something wasn't quite right. Jessica's complaints about fatigue and her occasional absent-mindedness seemed beyond just the strain of caring for a child. The following week, as Mark departed for another business trip, Daria began receiving frequent calls from Jessica. Requests like, "Could you please take Emma?" became almost daily. Daria was glad to help, but she noticed that Jessica was picking Emma up later and later each day. Work is busy, Jessica consistently said. There's a lot of overtime with the new project. One day, while playing with Emma at the park, Daria was taken aback by her granddaughter's casual remark. Grandma, Mama has been on the phone a lot lately, but it doesn't sound like work calls. What do you mean? Because I can hear her laughing. She doesn't laugh during work calls, does she? Daria felt shaken by Emma's innocent observation. Even a 4-year-old could pick up on changes in adult behavior. That evening, during dinner at her own house with Emma, Daria carefully watched her granddaughter's actions. Emma was her usual bright self, but the lonely expressions she sometimes showed lingered in Daria's mind. Emma, do you enjoy the time you spend with Mama? Daria asked gently. Emma paused before responding. Yes, it's fun. But Mama doesn't play with me much lately. She always says she's tired. Daria lovingly stroked Emma's hair. Mama isn't feeling well, but her love for you hasn't changed. I know, Emma replied, but sometimes I feel like Mama is far away. Those words made Daria's heart ache. Children often sense more than adults realize, and they can pick up on shifts within the family. The next day, when Jessica came to pick up Emma, Daria noticed a change in her behavior. Her hairstyle had shifted, and she appeared to wear new clothes. Most importantly, her demeanor seemed more lively than before. You look like you're feeling better, Daria said. Yes, I am, Jessica replied with a smile. I've had some time to recharge recently, thanks to you. Daria felt mixed emotions at Jessica's words. While she seemed to be doing better, there was a part of Daria that couldn't feel completely happy if it meant less time with Emma. That night, Daria found herself alone in her living room, staring at family photos. The photo of Mark, Jessica, and Emma all smiling had been taken just a few months earlier. Yet, given the current circumstances, the happy family image felt like a distant memory. Drawing on her years of experience as an educator, Daria had a knack for noticing subtle changes in families. From Jessica's behavior and Emma's comments, she sensed that something significant was happening beneath the surface, though she wasn't sure what it was. The next morning, Daria received a call from Jessica. Could you please take Emma today? Something urgent came up. Daria agreed, but sensed an unusual eagerness in Jessica's voice. After hanging up, she prepared to welcome Emma, hoping her worries were unfounded. Determined to do everything she could as a grandmother to protect her beloved granddaughter, Daria was caught off guard at 2:30 a.m. by the sound of the doorbell. Initially, she thought it was part of a dream, but the second ring jolted her awake. Confused by the late hour, she quickly donned her robe and went downstairs. Who could be visiting at this hour? When she opened the door, little Emma stood there alone, shivering in her thin pajamas and barefoot. Daria was too stunned to speak. Emma, what happened? How did you get here? Daria quickly scooped up her granddaughter. Emma's tiny body was icy, and her cheeks were damp with tears. Daria wrapped her in a warm blanket once inside. "Grandma," Emma said in a shaky voice. "Mama said, I'm having a baby, so I don't need you anymore." Daria's heart raced. "A baby? Emma, what do you mean?" Emma opened her small hand, revealing a crumpled piece of paper. With trembling hands, Daria took the paper and read the top line. "Parental rights relinquishment document." Daria's face turned pale. "What is this? Emma, where did you find this?" "Mama was writing it," Emma replied through tears. "Mama said, I'm starting a new family, so Emma is in the way. Then she told me to go to Grandma's house." Daria was bewildered. Jessica was pregnant. She hadn't heard anything about that, and neither had Mark. What did this relinquishment document mean? "Emma, did Mama really say that?" Emma nodded. "Mama was talking to someone on the phone. She said, I'll leave Emma with her grandmother so we can start our new life." Daria held Emma on her lap, trying to process the situation. A 4-year-old shouldn't have walked there alone at night. "Emma, how did you get here?" "Mama drove me, but when I got out of the car, she said, don't come back home." Daria's body trembled with anger. Jessica had left a 4-year-old child alone in the middle of the night, and with a parental rights relinquishment document. "Emma, it's going to be okay now. Grandma is here," Daria comforted, hugging her tightly. "Let me make you some warm cocoa." "Just a moment." Daria set Emma on the sofa and rushed to the kitchen, her hands shaking as she tried to make the cocoa. Did Mark know Jessica was pregnant? What did the relinquishment document signify? After giving Emma the cocoa, Daria took a deep breath and called Mark's cell phone. He was on a business trip to the West Coast, and given the time difference, it was late there, but this was an emergency. The phone connected on the 3rd ring. "Mom, what's wrong?" "Calling at this hour." "Mark, something terrible has happened. Emma came to my house alone in the middle of the night." "What? Where's Jessica?" "That's the issue." "Mark, is Jessica pregnant?" There was a long pause on the other end. "Pregnant? What are you talking about? I haven't heard anything from her." Daria explained about the relinquishment document. Mark's voice grew sharper. "Parental rights relinquishment? That can't be real. I'll try calling Jessica." "Mark," Daria said. "Emma's crying, saying Jessica told her, I'm having a baby, so I don't need you anymore." Daria could hear Mark's sharp intake of breath. "Mom, I'm coming back immediately. I'll take the first flight in the morning. Please look after Emma." "Of course." "But Mark, if Jessica really is pregnant, whose child is it?" Another long silence followed. "I don't know, but I'll figure it out. I'll call Jessica myself." After hanging up, Daria sat next to Emma, who was exhausted and dozing off on her lap. "Emma, let's stay at Grandma's tonight. Tomorrow, your daddy will come back." Emma's eyes lit up slightly. "Yes, Daddy loves you very much. That will never change." Daria took Emma upstairs to the guest room and tucked her into bed. While holding Emma's tiny hand, she sang a lullaby. After Emma finally fell asleep, Daria returned to the living room alone. She picked up the parental rights relinquishment document again and read it closely. It seemed to be an official legal document with Jessica's signature, but Mark's line was blank. With her years of experience as an educator, Daria recognized that this document had been created unilaterally. At 3 a.m., Daria's phone rang. It was Mark. "Mom, I can't reach Jessica. She's not answering her home or cell phone. She hasn't returned home. I asked Mr. Johnson, the neighbor, to check, but her car isn't there and the lights are off. It seems Jessica has gone somewhere." Daria felt a sense of dread. "Mark, is there a chance Jessica is with someone else?" Mark sighed deeply. "Actually, Jessica's behavior has been a bit odd lately, buying new clothes, changing her hairstyle. She says work is busy, but she's been in a good mood often." "Yes, I noticed that too, Mom. To be honest, I suspected Jessica might be having an affair, but I had no proof, and I didn't want to pursue it for Emma's sake." Daria could sense her son's pain. "Mark, the most crucial thing right now is Emma. Discovering the truth might be painful, but it's necessary to protect your daughter. I understand. I'll take the first flight back tomorrow morning. Please take care of Emma until then." "Absolutely, I'll keep her safe." After hanging up, Daria sat quietly in the living room, deep in thought. Jessica's pregnancy, the parental rights relinquishment document, and Emma's words all pointed to one horrible truth. Jessica was having an affair, was pregnant with that person's child, and was attempting to abandon Emma to start anew. Daria went upstairs to watch Emma as she slept in the guest room. Her innocent face reflected the purity of a child unaware of the turmoil around her. Thinking about the pain Emma was experiencing, Daria's heart felt heavy. "It's okay, Emma," she whispered softly. "Grandma will always protect you." For the few hours until dawn, Daria sat in a chair by Emma's bedside, keeping watch over her sleeping granddaughter. The next day, Mark arrived at Daria's house, looking exhausted. He had flown back from the West Coast on a red-eye flight, and his face showed the deep fatigue of someone who seemed to have aged overnight. "Where's Emma?" Mark asked as soon as he entered. "She's napping. She was tired from last night." Daria embraced her son. "You must be tired too. Let's have some coffee first." Mark sat on the living room sofa, receiving the coffee Daria prepared, and sighed deeply. "Mom, were you able to contact Jessica?" "No, not at all. She's not answering her phone and hasn't come home," Daria replied anxiously. "Mark, I've thought it through, and I believe Jessica's actions were premeditated." Mark picked up the parental rights relinquishment document and reviewed it again. "This is an official legal document. A lawyer must have prepared it. Jessica couldn't have done this alone. So someone is assisting her?" "I think so. And that someone is likely the father of the baby." Just then, Emma's voice echoed from upstairs. Mark rushed up and embraced his daughter. "Daddy!" Emma cried, tears streaming down her face. "Mama said, I don't need you anymore." Mark held her tightly, fighting back his own tears. "Emma, Daddy loves you so much. That will never change." "Really?" Emma looked up at him. "Really? Daddy will always be here for you." Daria watched the exchange between her son and granddaughter, feeling warmth in her heart. The bond of blood could never be broken, no matter the challenges they faced. Later that evening, Jessica finally called. When Mark answered, Jessica's voice was surprisingly calm. "Mark, you returned. Emma is being well taken care of by Daria, right?" "Jessica, what on earth is going on?" "Emma showed up at my mother's house alone last night. I explained to her. I told her that for us to start a new life, it would be best for Emma to live with Daria." Mark was taken aback by Jessica's cold tone. "A new life? Jessica, are you pregnant?" After a brief silence, Jessica replied, "Yes, but Mark, it's not your child." Mark's grip on the phone tightened. "What did you say?" "I have someone new. I'm having a baby with him, so I can't go back to my old life." "Jessica, what about Emma?" "Daria can take care of her. I prepared the parental rights relinquishment document properly." Mark's voice shook with anger. "You intend to abandon your 4-year-old daughter? Abandon is a harsh word. Emma has Daria, who is a wonderful grandmother. She can provide a better life than I can." Mark was appalled by Jessica's selfish reasoning. "Jessica, come home. Let's talk this through. I have no intention of coming back. I'll collect my things later." "Wait, Jessica. Who is this person?" Jessica hesitated before responding. David Morrison. He's my true love." Mark recognized the name. He knew David Morrison was a local real estate agent who was supposed to be married. "Isn't he married?" "No, he's already divorced." "We're serious, Mark. I feel bad for you, but I have the right to be happy." Mark felt the urge to hang up. "Jessica, are you really willing to abandon your daughter for your own happiness?" "Emma isn't being abandoned. She'll live with Daria. That's what's best for her." Mark took a deep breath to remain calm. "Jessica, no matter your thoughts, Emma is my daughter. If you want to relinquish your parental rights, that's your choice. But I'm taking Emma. I won't impose on my mother." "Mark, you're busy with work. You can't take care of Emma, can you?" "That's for me to determine. I'll change jobs if I need to. I'll do anything for Emma." Jessica sighed on the other end. "Fine, but please take care of the parental rights relinquishment document properly. I want to start my new life." "Jessica, can I ask you one last thing? Didn't you love Emma?" There was a long pause. "I did love her, but after meeting David, I learned what true love is. With Emma around, she will interfere with our new life. Please understand." Mark hung up, his hands trembling. Daria sat beside him, placing a hand on his shoulder. "I heard," she said quietly. "Mark, you're doing the right thing." "Mom, will I be able to raise Emma alone?" "You won't be alone. I'm here for you. Emma has a wonderful father in you." That night, Mark stayed at Daria's house with Emma. While Emma didn't fully grasp the situation, she felt the love from her father and grandmother. The next day, Mark consulted a lawyer. The parental rights relinquishment document was legally valid, confirming that he could obtain sole custody of Emma. Additionally, Jessica's affair would work in his favor during the divorce proceedings. A week later, Jessica came to Daria's house with David to collect her belongings. Emma hid behind her father, watching her mother. "Emma, you're doing well," Jessica smiled at her daughter. Emma remained silent. Jessica's expression turned slightly sad, but she quickly took David's hand. "Mark, please take care of Emma." "I'm going to be happy," Jessica added formally. "Jessica," Daria interjected, "you're still her mother. Emma is your daughter. I'm creating a new family. Emma has you and Mark, and that should be sufficient." Jessica and David left with their belongings. Emma watched her mother's car drive away from the window, whispering softly, "Mama, bye-bye." Mark hugged his daughter tightly. "Emma, Daddy and Grandma are here, so everything will be all right." Daria observed her son and granddaughter, reflecting on family bonds. Blood relations alone do not forge a family. She believed that love, responsibility, and nurturing create true family ties. Emma's new life was beginning. Healing her wounded heart would take time, but Daria was determined to support her cherished granddaughter with all her strength, and Mark was resolved to grow as a father. A year later, Daria was planting flowers in her garden with Emma. The 5-year-old carefully dug into the soil with her small hands, planting tulip bulbs. "Grandma, when will these flowers bloom?" Emma asked, wiping dirt from her hair. "Next spring. But if we don't plant them now, beautiful flowers won't bloom," Daria replied with a smile. "Love is similar. If we nurture it well now, it will surely blossom into something beautiful." Emma nodded seriously. Over the past year, she had made significant progress. She had cried at night during the first few months, but surrounded by Mark and Daria's love, her emotional wounds gradually healed. Mark had kept his promise, altering his life for Emma. He quit international flights and became a domestic pilot, which significantly reduced his travel time. Though his income decreased, the time spent with his daughter was invaluable. "Daddy, welcome home," Emma exclaimed as she ran toward her father, who had just arrived in uniform. "What did you do today?" he asked, lifting her up. "I planted flowers with Grandma. Beautiful flowers will bloom next year." "That's something to look forward to," Mark replied, smiling at his mother as he patted Emma's head. Daria saw her son's expression and felt that he was genuinely happy. Although their financial situation was tighter than before, their family bond had grown immeasurably stronger. During dinner, Emma suddenly spoke up. "Grandma, do I have 2 mamas?" Daria and Mark exchanged surprised looks. Emma often asked insightful questions. "What do you mean?" Mark asked gently. "Because Grandma takes care of me, right? She reads to me and cooks for me. Isn't that what mamas do?" Daria's heart swelled. "Emma, Grandma is Grandma, but it's true I love you." "Then I have one kind mama," Emma replied with satisfaction. Mark felt tears welling in his eyes at his daughter's words. Emma had understood and accepted their family dynamic in her own way. That night, after putting Emma to bed, Mark and Daria talked in the living room. "Mom, thank you so much. Without you, I couldn't have raised Emma alone. Emma is my treasure. The time I spend with her is the greatest gift of my life," Daria said, gazing out the window. "Sometimes I wonder how Jessica is doing. Is she really happy?" In reality, Jessica was living with David in another state, but as Daria had anticipated, things were far from perfect. David's divorce was complicated, and they faced financial difficulties. Jessica was also dealing with morning sickness during her pregnancy, far from the idealized new life she had envisioned. However, she rarely thought about Emma. "Mom, Jessica's situation doesn't matter anymore. We're moving forward," Mark declared with determination. Daria nodded in agreement. Focusing on Emma's future was far more important than being stuck in the past. A few months later, Emma drew a picture for Father's Day in kindergarten. The image depicted Mark in his pilot uniform, Daria in an apron, and little Emma in the center. "Teacher, this is my family," Emma proudly explained. "Daddy and Grandma Mama and me." "Grandma Mama?" the teacher asked with a smile. "Yes, Grandma is my other mama. She's very kind." When Daria saw that drawing, she cried. She realized how beautiful and strong love could transcend beyond blood relations. Emma had blossomed into a bright, healthy child. While the wound from her mother's abandonment hadn't completely healed, the love from her father and grandmother had helped her regain trust and hope. Each night, Daria looked at Emma's sleeping face and thought, family isn't just bound by blood. Love, responsibility, and unconditional acceptance create true family bonds. Daria wished that when Emma grew up and reflected on her childhood, she would treasure these family memories in her heart. The tulips planted in the spring garden bloomed beautifully the following year. Emma gazed at the flowers in full bloom and said, "Grandma, the flowers of love have bloomed." Daria hugged her granddaughter, filled with hope for her future.